Hi, my name is James Shepard. I have trained hundreds of agents, and so I talk to a lot of agents every day from many different processing companies. I have heard some of the most ridiculous reasons for an agent staying with their current processor, and today I'm going to give you my top 5 worst reasons to stay with your current processor. The number 5 worst reason is they are a local company. Now let me explain why that's a terrible reason to sell for a credit card processing company. I always ask agents the same question. I say, when they tell me, well, I sell for a local credit card processing company, I say, so are you planning to remain small? And they always say, oh, no, I want to have a big company. I say, okay, so is it reasonable to say that in the future, you would like to be the number 1 local credit card processing company? They respond, yes. I respond, then why are you working for the competition? If you're working for a local credit card processing company, do you not realize that they are your competitor, even if you're working for them? Because eventually, if you want to get big, you want to have the brand that says, I am the top local provider for my community. So don't work for the competition if you're planning to grow into a substantial credit card processing company. If you want a job, work for a local processing company. If you want a business, then separate from them and sell for an independent credit card processing company. The number 4 reason of the top 5 worst reasons to sell for a credit card processing company is I'm working with a friend of mine. I hear this one a lot too. You know, I'm working for my family member, they got me into the business, or my friend got me into the business and I'm working with them. Let me tell you the biggest problem with that. The biggest problem is that in most cases, if you're working for your friend or a family member, it becomes difficult to ask the tough questions. Here's a test to tell you if you should be selling for or with your family member or friend. Can you ask them these questions? Can you ask them, am I an independent agent? Also, are my residuals secure? And thirdly, how much do you make when I make a sale versus how much do I make? Okay, those are 3 tough questions that you can ask. If you feel like, oh, I couldn't ask that to my friend because they're helping me out, then you are going to not only have a very terrible business, but you're also going to ruin your friendship and you're going to ruin your family relationships. Why mix business with family or business with personal? Read any business book, get advice from any business person who is successful, and you know what they will all tell you? Don't do that. They'll tell you, keep it separate. Build your business. Let your friend build their business. You build your business. Let your family member build their business. You build your business. That's what all successful people will tell you, and it's pretty good advice. The number 3 reason why you should not sell for a current processor is because they provide you with appointment scheduled leads. My current company provides me with appointment scheduled leads. Now, on the outset, that seems like a pretty good reason to stick with your current processor, but when you really break it down, there's a couple problems. I usually ask the agent, okay, how many appointment scheduled leads do you get per day? And they'll say 3. And I'll say, okay, how many of those 3 when you go in are expecting you to come and are actually glad that you showed up? Normally they'll say, oh, if I'm lucky, 1. Most of them are upset that I came or don't even know that I was going to come in the first place, okay? Let me give you a tip. Rather than spending tons of gas money driving all over the place to visit 3 people who don't even know you're going to come, and when you get there, they're not happy to see you, let me give you a tip. Do you realize you could just walk around your local community or drive around the local community? You could probably visit 15 to 20 businesses per day, all of whom will not know you're coming, and so they're not going to be upset when you get there. And so you could visit 15 to 20 businesses with basically the same numbers game. And you wouldn't have to worry about this appointment scheduled lead that you have to be there at a certain time when they're not even expecting you at that time. So the thing you have to ask yourself is, are these appointment scheduled leads really valuable to me? Or am I just wasting my time with these? And I think what you'll find is that you're either wasting your time, or at the very least, you could be a lot more efficient with your time if you simply went to your local community and started saturating that community, visiting 15 to 20 businesses every single day in the same amount of time and with a lot less gas money. The number 2 worst reason to stay with your current processor is when you're getting higher upfront compensation at the expense of your residuals and your long-term customer relationships. Agents will tell me, man, I get $500, $700, $1,000 on every sale that I make up front. There's only 2 ways to make that kind of money up front. Number 1, you can make that kind of money with leases. If you're selling a lease on a credit card terminal for much more than it's actually worth, you can make that kind of money. The problem is our industry is moving in a direction of offering free equipment to merchants. So someone is going to come into that merchant's location after you sold them the lease and say, I'll give you a free terminal. Now put yourself in the shoes of that business owner. If you had just been sold a lease for, say, $69 a month for 60 months or 48 months on a credit card terminal, and a month later another salesperson comes in and says, I'll give you that same terminal for free, how are you going to feel about the sales agent that sold you the lease? Probably not very good. And you're probably, even though you can't get out of the lease, you're probably going to try to get out of the credit card processing. So what's that going to do in the long run is it's going to hurt your residual as your customers begin to distrust you and move away from you, and as you damage your local reputation, having business owners feel like they were ripped off by you. So that's a really bad way to go. The other way is you can sell all of the residual up front. There are companies that will offer you 25 months worth of residual up front, or even 15 or 20 months worth of residual up front when you make the sale. Now, here's why that's such a bad deal. That's a bad deal because why are you in this business in the first place? If you want a job, go get a job. They pay better. If you want a business, then why would you sell all of your residual income? That's just not smart business. You know what you need to do is you need to reduce your expenses, bring everything in line, and just be tight for a little while. Some of you guys out there, you can make 15, 20 sales a month, and you're making 10 grand, 20 grand a month up front. But what happens if you get sick? What happens if, God forbid, you get in an accident? How are you going to provide for your family? Okay? You need to think about those things. What are you really building towards in that kind of a business? If you have residual income, that is what this business is all about. So would you rather have 10 grand a month in residual or 10 grand a month in upfront money? Obviously, you want the residual, and that's why you should stop selling for the people you're selling for. They're taking all of your residual. They're getting a great deal because their customers are staying with them for 5 or 10 years. They're making all the money on it. You're getting a really bad deal. So you need to switch away from that, move your business model to a residual business model. Finally, the number 1 reason why you should not stay with your current provider is because they give you a higher residual split. Notice the quotes. They say, oh, well, we'll pay you 80% residual, 90% residual, 70% residual. And they tell you that. And then you look at them and say, well, let's see now. They're paying 80% residual, things like the transaction or authorization fee, okay? At some processors, you'll pay 6 to 10 cents per transaction in cost before you get any profit. So if I came to you and said, you can have 80% of $100 or 50% of $1,000, what would you choose? Obviously the 50% of $1,000. My point is this: it's much more important how big the pie is than what percentage of the pie you're getting. If you're getting a big percentage of a little tiny pie, that doesn't do you any good. You want to get a fair percentage of a big pie. So again, our top 5 worst reasons to stay with your current processor are as follows. You ready? The number 5 worst reason is they're a local provider. Number 4, it's my friend, it's my family member. Number 3, I get appointment scheduled leads. Number 2, I'm getting all this upfront money, but no residual. And number 1 reason why you should not stay with your current provider is if that current provider is giving you a huge residual split of a little tiny pie. Look at their cost structure and compare it. It all comes down to how much residual you can make per month, per account on average. Hey, thanks so much for taking time to watch this video. Again, my name is James Shepard. Have a great day.